Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Like I say all the time, when y'all ask good questions, I make good videos. And we had someone submit a question, I think in the last 2 days, about what are your top 5 defensive stocks. So today we're going to talk about my top 5 defensive stocks, why I'm looking into these areas, why I chose these stocks over others, which ones do I own, which ones do I want to get into, and why. So first, we know so far this year in 2022, it is still a defensive year. Yes, the market has somewhat recovered in the last week or so. I think today was another green day, which, generally is pretty good. However, that doesn't mean that the entire stock market is good. We know tech isn't all that great. We know healthcare is one of those bright spots. We know utilities is one of those great spots. So my job in helping teach you about the stock market, to give you a little bit of clarity, I'm going to give you 5 that you should add to your watch list. Some of these I've been talking about for quite some time. And, I do be telling y'all. And some of these, like I said, I've been talking about for a very long time. But I did want to mix in some new ones here. Now, when I started to do my research for this particular list, I found like 17 total, and then started to whittle down. And the reason why I honed in on these particular 5 is for a few reasons. Number one, I wanted to have them in multiple areas. I could have done all healthcare stocks, which I think I've already done a video on that. I could have done all utility stocks or all consumer defensive like Coca-Cola and stuff like that. But instead, I wanted to say like, hey, what list can you have that has, maybe the best of each of those areas to give you a more rounded portfolio should you decide to do your own research, continue your own research rather, and add them to your list. I wanted to again, get that mix, and then also businesses that I think are truly sustainable, that aren't going to go anywhere in places that I don't really have to think about. So that's how I came up with today's list. All right, so let's go ahead and start. The first one on here is Anthem. That is ticker symbol ANTM. It's the healthcare company, or really the health insurance company. They also do life insurance and some other stuff. They're up. And what I'm going to do here as well is just do year to date, because we're talking about really in 2022 and how things have gone on. Now, personally, I don't use year to date to say like, hey, I want to invest in this, but just to give you some context there. So in today's video, we're just talking about year to date performance, but year to date, they're up more than 20%. Again, they're not going anywhere. I doubt that they're in any danger of any sort, especially in a year like this. And when you're up 20% so far this year, really the last 3 months, not technically year to date, but in the last 3 months, I mean, that's solid. The market is still down, still negative on the year. Anthem is not. So that's one that you want to pay attention to. And in fact, of the entire list, is actually the one that has the highest gain so far in the last 3 months. So definitely want to bookmark that one. But it's not the only one in the healthcare space, not the only one in the health insurance space for that matter, but it is one that I definitely have my eye on. The next one is AEP, that is American Electric Power, and they are up 14%. They're an electric power company. They're a utility company. We haven't talked about them enough here on the show or the channel, but utilities, water, electric, they're definitely not going anywhere. That is one of the best all-time defensive sectors, because no matter what, whether I'm recording a video or using the internet, whatever it's going to be, it's probably going to run on electric. It's probably going to run some form of energy in some utility company. AEP is one of those. They're up 14%. And again, this is just the last 3 months. If you go back for any of these, you go back 6 months, you go back a year, and you're going to be impressed even more as you start to dig into these. But again, I should really like to do an entire video on utilities, but they're underappreciated, and AEP is one of the stars of that sector so far this year. Next, one we've talked about rather, is Berkshire Hathaway, particularly BRKB. Again, we can get into the whole thing about the A versus the B. We talked about that when we talked about Google, but in either case, that one's up 9.9%. Let's just call it 10. And you can see that chart here. But Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, Warren Buffett, even though he got called names by Peter Thiel, however you want to say it, he helped start PayPal. He's also a billionaire, but he came at Warren Buffett some type of way. Called him old and all this kind of other stuff. Now, yes, the man is old, but in either case, he's a very good investor, and he's done quite well. Berkshire Hathaway owns like 46, between 46 and 44 companies, if I remember what I just read maybe 3 or 4 days ago. They own American Express. They own a good chunk of Apple. They own Kraft Heinz, which is another good company that's not on this list, but it is one that you want to look at. That one is KHC. I mean, they own a bunch of insurance companies. I'm sure you probably already know as well. Berkshire Hathaway is an easy one. I started owning or picking up shares of Berkshire Hathaway maybe somewhere between 2018 and 2019, before the pandemic, I believe, and I held on to it and almost forgot that it was there. And it's definitely paying off. So long-term investing, which is what we talk about most on this channel, it does work. All right, next here is one of the companies that I am really proud of choosing and doing my research on it, because it continues to pay dividends in the sense that it's still growing. O'Reilly's. ORLY is the symbol there. They're up 8%. I am up like 40-something%. And you can, if you want to scroll back far enough, you can see on public when I first chose this company and why I picked this company. I did a video on it maybe 2 years ago now. I talked about why it is one of the best defensive stocks out there. Now, you don't have to play defense all the time, but I like keeping 1 or 2 defensive stocks in my portfolio at all times, because defensive stocks, when the market is up and everything's fine, they still do well. It's just not gonna get you double-digit returns. But I like a good dividend. I like something that's solid. I like something I can rely on, and O'Reilly is one of those. And the reason why they do well in defensive times is because when gas is high and when the economy isn't all that well and things are uncertain, what most people do is hold on to the cars they have. You gotta take care of it. You gotta make sure air is in your tires, change your oil, all that kind of stuff. Where do you get a lot of that stuff? AutoZone, but you can also get it at O'Reilly's. And that is one that has done quite well, especially over the last 2 years or so. And then the last one, y'all know it. You heard me talk about it before, and it is Costco. That is COST. I've also been talking about Costco since the pandemic, and it's been quite good, quite well. It's done quite well since then and continues to do so. And Costco is one that I have, I believe, in my Roth IRA, and I could sell it and not have to worry about taxes or anything like that, but it's probably going to creep into that I'm never selling type of category. One of the reasons why I love Costco, it may or may not be covered in one of my courses, so I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna overshoot and give you all the information that we have inside of the cram sessions. But I will say this for Costco, it's a sustainable business model. Like the fact that you got, I think it was like $80 a month for a subscription, $80 a year, whatever it is for subscriptions, that's almost all profit. I gotta buy my food, my groceries, all that kind of stuff, and it's Costco, man. It's really hard to go wrong with a company like that. So those are my top 5. The Anthem, AEP, Berkshire Hathaway, O'Reilly's, and Costco. Those are my top 5 defensive stocks. Some of these you can obviously sub out if you choose to. Maybe if you don't like Costco, Walmart is still out there. Dollar Tree is still out there. Dollar General hit an all-time high today and yesterday, which I guess if it hit it today, there was definitely a time before they also had an all-time high. But in either case, you can sub out some of those. There are plenty of healthcare insurance companies that you may want to swap out for Anthem if you don't love Anthem, but they're all out there. These are my top 5. Let me know what you think. Are there any that you own, any that you've had for a while, and anything else that y'all want me to talk about? Feel free to say that in the comments below. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.